A young student proudly tells her teacher that her mom works in Congress. The teacher laughs, thinking there's no way it could be true. But just as the room settles into disbelief, the door opens. Someone steps in, and the truth takes everyone by surprise. What happens next will change everything you thought you knew. Stay tuned, this story isn't what it seems. Jasmine Crockett holds an important position in the United States government, where she serves as a representative in Congress. The work of someone in Congress can have a huge impact on the country's laws, policies, and overall direction. Being a part of Congress is a role that carries significant responsibility and influence, as the people who serve there are responsible for creating, debating, and passing laws that affect the lives of millions of citizens. Congress members also serve as a voice for their districts, representing the needs and interests of the people who elect them. In a society where many citizens might not fully understand the details of how government works, the role of a Congress member is often overlooked. It's easy to assume that only the most famous or widely recognized individuals in politics make a difference, but in reality, there are many people working behind the scenes in various levels of government. For many citizens, especially younger ones, it may not be immediately clear just how influential someone in Congress can be. They might not realize the extensive work required in managing legislation, dealing with constituents, and navigating the complex world of politics. The work can be intense, involving long hours, constant communication, and making difficult decisions that can affect millions. When the student in the story told the teacher that her mom worked in Congress, she was not simply sharing a random fact. She was describing the role and importance of her mother, someone who was likely involved in many of these complex tasks on a daily basis. The student was proud of her mom's position and was eager to share it. But the teacher, not fully aware of the reality of this role, found it hard to believe. The teacher's laughter came from a place of doubt. Perhaps the teacher thought that no one could have such a prestigious position. Or maybe she was unaware of the number of people who serve in Congress and the many different ways individuals can contribute to the government. For the teacher, the idea of someone's parent being a member of Congress was so far removed from her daily experience that she simply couldn't take it seriously. This moment reflected a larger issue of how people sometimes underestimate the roles of others, or fail to recognize the important work being done by individuals who may not be as visible in the media. It's easy to forget that there are many people in the political system who play crucial roles but are not always in the spotlight. Just because someone is not on television every day does not mean they are not making an important difference in their community or country. The student's claim was, in fact, a true representation of the work done in Congress by many individuals. In this case, her mother was an active participant in the legislative process, working to create laws and represent the needs of her constituents. This role can be particularly important in shaping the direction of a nation, as decisions made in Congress often have far-reaching consequences for things like education, healthcare, the economy, and even the environment. Individuals who serve in Congress come from various backgrounds, with different life experiences and political perspectives. This diversity is essential to ensuring that a broad range of ideas is considered when decisions are being made that will affect all citizens. Serving in Congress is not something that everyone can do. It requires a great deal of dedication, intelligence, and passion for the country. A member of Congress must be able to work well with others, think critically about the needs of their district and the nation, and make decisions that might not always be popular but are necessary for the greater good. This is why the student's statement was not just a simple boast or a child's exaggerated claim. It was a truthful reflection of the important work her mother was doing as part of the legislative process. In the story, the teacher's initial reaction was a perfect example of how easily people can overlook or dismiss the accomplishments of others when they are not fully informed. The teacher, likely thinking that someone so young could not possibly have a parent in such an influential role, failed to appreciate the weight of the statement. But the arrival of the Congresswoman in the classroom immediately dispelled any doubts, showing that the student's words were not only true, but also a reminder of the many dedicated individuals who work in positions of power, but are often unseen by the public. This aspect of the story is also a reminder of the importance of education in fostering an understanding of government and politics. If people, especially young people, understand the roles and responsibilities of those who serve in positions like Congress, they may be more likely to appreciate the significance of these roles and how they contribute to the country's progress. Many people might not be familiar with the specific work of a Congress member, especially if they do not see it covered in the news. In order to create a more informed and engaged public, it is crucial that the work of Congress and its members is communicated more clearly and effectively to the public, particularly to younger generations who are just beginning to understand the political system. This lack of awareness also speaks to the larger societal issue of recognizing and valuing all kinds of work, not just those that are high profile or receive media attention. The teacher's initial disbelief serves as a reminder that sometimes people underestimate the significance of the work being done by those who do not make headlines. But as the story shows, everyone has an important role to play in society, whether they are in the spotlight or not. And the arrival of the Congresswoman served to remind the teacher, and all of us, that it's important to listen and keep an open mind, because the truth can be far more surprising than we expect. The student's claim about her mom working in Congress seemed like a statement that would be difficult for many people to believe, especially coming from a child. It's not every day that someone hears such a claim, particularly when it comes from a younger person who may not yet fully understand the weight of what they are saying. In the classroom, the student's statement caught the teacher off guard. For the teacher, who might not have encountered many people personally involved in government work, it was hard to imagine that a young student's mother could hold such a prestigious and influential position. When the student told her teacher that her mother worked in Congress, the teacher's immediate reaction was one of laughter. This laughter wasn't meant to be mean or disrespectful, but rather a natural response to something that seemed too surprising or unbelievable at first. Teachers, especially those who work in educational environments where students come from various backgrounds, hear many different things from their pupils. Sometimes students say things that might sound exaggerated or far-fetched. In this case, the teacher probably assumed that the student was either mistaken or engaging in wishful thinking. The laughter could have come from the teacher's own lack of familiarity with how Congress functions. Many people, especially those who don't have direct experience with politics or government, might not realize that there are numerous individuals working behind the scenes in various roles within the government. The idea that a young student's parent could be part of that system might seem unbelievable to someone who doesn't have a good understanding of how these positions work. Government roles can sometimes appear distant or even out of reach for many people, so it's easy to understand why the teacher would not take the student's claim seriously at first. This moment also highlights the nature of assumptions. The teacher assumed that what the student was saying couldn't possibly be true, which is something many people do when they are confronted with information they are not familiar with. It's easy to doubt someone's word when it goes against what we believe or understand. For the teacher, it may have seemed improbable that a young child could accurately know something so important about her mother's job. In some ways, the teacher's laughter was a reflection of how quickly people can dismiss claims they don't immediately comprehend. It's a natural human response to laugh or scoff when something appears out of the ordinary, especially if it challenges what we think is possible. However, the story also serves to remind us of the importance of listening to others, regardless of how their statements may seem at first. Just because something seems unbelievable does not necessarily mean it is false. The student in this case was not trying to boast or fabricate a story. She was simply stating a fact she believed to be true. And while it's natural for someone to be skeptical, it's also important to remain open to the possibility that the world around us might hold surprises. Had the teacher dismissed the student's words completely, she would have missed the opportunity to learn something valuable and witness a small but significant moment of truth. This moment in the classroom also reflects the idea that we often underestimate young people, not just in terms of their knowledge, but also in their ability to understand complex topics like government. It's easy for adults to assume that children don't have a full understanding of the world, but children often have unique insights and experiences that adults may overlook. In this case, the student's knowledge about her mother's work in Congress was accurate, but the teacher's reaction shows how adults sometimes overlook the abilities of younger individuals. While the teacher's laughter was based on a lack of understanding, It also reveals how the assumptions of adults can influence how they perceive the world and those around them. If the teacher had been more familiar with the workings of government, or had an open mind about the possibility that the student might be telling the truth, the initial reaction might have been different. Instead of laughing, the teacher could have chosen to inquire further, asking the student more about her mother's work, which could have led to a more meaningful conversation. In the world of education, moments like this can be teaching opportunities for everyone involved. The teacher could have used the student's claim as a chance to learn more about the student's life and background, just as the student could have learned more about the teacher's understanding of politics and government. But instead of seeing the situation as a learning moment, the teacher's immediate response was to laugh and dismiss the claim, which left both the student and the teacher in a place of misunderstanding. This scenario also touches on the role of authority figures in shaping how students are perceived. Teachers, by nature, are in positions of authority in the classroom, and their reactions can have a significant impact on how students feel about themselves and their own knowledge. When an authority figure dismisses a student's statement, even with laughter, it can unintentionally communicate to the student that their words are not valued or worth considering. This can have a lasting effect on a student's confidence in sharing their ideas or speaking up in the future. In this case, the teacher's reaction, though unintentional, revealed how quickly people can dismiss the validity of a statement when it challenges their own understanding of the world. The teacher's laughter was based on the assumption that the student could not possibly be correct, but it was only when the truth was revealed that the teacher realized the importance of taking others at their word, especially when it comes to their personal experiences. It is easy to doubt others when their stories seem unusual, but this moment reminds us of the need to remain open to hearing what others have to say, even when it challenges our own assumptions. The teacher's reaction to the student's claim about her mother working in Congress was one of disbelief. When the student said that her mom worked in such a prominent and powerful position, the teacher laughed. The laughter was not meant to mock the student, but rather came from a place of doubt. The teacher, like many people, likely found it difficult to believe such a statement without any immediate evidence. It was a reaction based on the teacher's own assumptions and understanding of what was possible. When people hear something surprising or unexpected, it's common for them to react with laughter, not out of disrespect, but because they are processing something they didn't expect. In this situation, the teacher's response showed how easy it is to assume something is not true, simply because it doesn't align with our expectations. The claim the student made was out of the ordinary, and in the teacher's mind it was unlikely that such a young child could know someone who held a significant position in the government. It was almost as if the teacher couldn't fathom how a parent could be involved in something as serious and powerful as Congress. This is a natural response when people encounter information that doesn't fit into their existing understanding of the world. Often we make assumptions based on our own experiences, which can sometimes limit our ability to recognize the truth in front of us. The teacher's laughter is also a reflection of how easy it is to dismiss others' words, especially when those words seem too grand or unusual. This moment highlights a common social behavior where people tend to doubt things that seem too good to be true, especially when they come from someone who might be seen as young, inexperienced, or not in a position to know such information. For many, hearing about a young child whose parent works in a high-profile position like Congress might seem improbable. It's hard for people to accept that a child would know such an important detail about their parents' work unless they have seen evidence of it. In this case, the teacher's initial response was a quick laugh, a natural reflex when faced with something unexpected. However, this reaction also reflects a deeper issue: the tendency to judge or dismiss others without taking the time to listen or explore further. When we hear something that doesn't align with our view of the world, we often react first with disbelief or laughter, assuming that it can't be true. This moment in the classroom illustrates how easily people can be quick to judge others' words without considering the possibility that they may be speaking from a place of truth or personal experience. It also shows how people's perceptions can be shaped by their own knowledge and experiences. The teacher, not fully familiar with the inner workings of Congress or the roles that various individuals play within the government, might have assumed that such a claim was unlikely. For someone who isn't familiar with the political system, it may seem like a stretch for a child to claim that their mother works in such a high-profile position. The laughter that followed came from a place of limited knowledge, where the teacher was simply unable to see the truth in the student's words. The teacher's reaction was a result of their own lack of understanding, not because the student was lying or exaggerating. The importance of this reaction lies in the lesson it offers about the impact of assumptions. Assumptions can easily lead to misunderstanding. The teacher's quick dismissal of the student's statement prevented any further discussion on the matter, which could have led to a deeper understanding of the student's life and experiences. It's often in these moments of doubt and surprise that important learning can occur, if we take the time to listen and consider that others may know things we don't. The teacher missed out on an opportunity to connect with the student and learn more about her life, simply because of an assumption that her words couldn't be true. This moment also shows how people often fail to recognize the impact of their words and actions. The teacher, even though the laughter was not intended to harm, made the student feel as though her words weren't worth taking seriously. This type of reaction can be discouraging, especially for a young person who may be looking for validation and support in sharing something important to them. By laughing, the teacher unintentionally communicated that the student's claim wasn't credible. This can have a long-lasting effect on a student's confidence in sharing their thoughts and experiences in the future. It serves as a reminder that, when dealing with others, especially children, it's important to respond with open-mindedness and respect, rather than dismissing their words immediately. As the story progresses, the teacher's laughter was revealed to be a mistake, as the truth was soon made clear when the student's mother walked into the room. This moment changed everything. The teacher, who had initially doubted the student's claim, was left surprised, realizing that the student's words had been truthful all along. The truth, in this case, was undeniable, and it was a lesson for the teacher in the importance of not being quick to dismiss others, especially when they share something personal and meaningful to them. The teacher's initial reaction was a natural one based on limited knowledge, but the reality of the situation was something the teacher had not anticipated. This shift in understanding serves as a reminder that first impressions and snap judgments are not always accurate. People often judge situations or others based on what they already know, but those assumptions can cloud their judgment. It's easy to assume that something isn't true based on how it fits into our existing view of the world. However, when we take the time to listen and consider the possibility that we might be wrong, we can uncover truths that we might have otherwise missed. The teacher's change of heart shows that it's important to keep an open mind and not immediately react with skepticism when confronted with new information. By laughing at the student's claim, the teacher missed an opportunity to engage in a meaningful conversation and learn something new. The story shows that reacting with disbelief or mockery can prevent important moments of connection and understanding. It also illustrates the value of keeping an open mind and not jumping to conclusions too quickly. Instead of laughing or dismissing the student's words, the teacher could have taken a moment to ask questions and learn more about the student's life. This could have led to a deeper understanding of the student's background and perhaps even fostered a stronger relationship between teacher and student. The story, in its essence, is a reminder of the importance of listening, being open to the unexpected, and not letting assumptions guide our responses. When the student's claim about her mother working in Congress was dismissed by laughter, it set the stage for a surprising twist. The teacher's disbelief, based on the assumption that such a statement couldn't be true, was soon disproven, in a way that not only surprised the teacher but also offered a valuable lesson to everyone involved. The twist came when the Congresswoman walked into the room, confirming that the student had been telling the truth all along. This change in events was significant because it challenged the teacher's initial assumptions and showed how quickly things can unfold in unexpected ways. This moment of surprise teaches us an important lesson about assumptions. It shows how easy it is to judge something as untrue, especially when it challenges what we believe to be possible. The teacher's reaction, though natural, was based on the belief that a child's claim could not possibly be true. People often make assumptions based on their own experiences and knowledge. And in this case, the teacher assumed that a student's parent couldn't possibly hold such an influential role in government. The twist in the story, however, shows that we should be careful about quickly dismissing others, as reality can sometimes be far more surprising than we expect. The story emphasizes that our beliefs and assumptions can sometimes limit our ability to see the truth. The teacher, upon hearing the student's statement, likely felt a sense of doubt because she had not encountered many children who would be familiar with such a powerful position. The teacher's initial reaction of laughter showed that she had assumed the student must be mistaken or exaggerating. But when the Congresswoman entered the room, everything changed. The truth, which had been dismissed earlier, became undeniable. This moment revealed how powerful and surprising the truth can be, especially when it contradicts what we believe to be true. This unexpected turn of events also highlights the importance of keeping an open mind. The teacher could have easily dismissed the student's words without any further thought, but the sudden appearance of the Congresswoman forced her to confront her own assumptions. It reminded the teacher and everyone in the room that sometimes things don't turn out the way we expect. When we approach situations with an open mind, we allow ourselves the opportunity to be surprised, to learn, and to understand others better. This moment was a clear reminder that reality often holds more surprises than we might imagine, and that we should be open to the possibility that things may not always be what they seem at first. Furthermore, this event reflects how the truth often has a way of revealing itself. No matter how much people might doubt or dismiss it, the teacher's laughter might have been a natural response, but it also shows how easy it is to be wrong when we rely on our own biases and assumptions. When the Congresswoman entered the room, it was clear that the student's words were not just idle boasting, but a reflection of reality. This twist shows that no matter how unlikely something may seem, the truth has a way of finding its way to the surface, even when we least expect it. The fact that the truth came to light in such an unexpected way also speaks to the power of personal experiences. The student had shared something meaningful and personal about her family, and despite the teacher's doubt, her words held more truth than anyone could have predicted. This moment highlights how important it is to listen and believe others when they share their experiences, even if they seem far-fetched. People's personal stories are often more impactful and accurate than we might realize at first. This is why it is important not to dismiss others' words without giving them the attention and respect they deserve. In addition to the surprise of the Congresswoman's entrance, this twist also demonstrates the power of context. When the student shared her claim, the teacher lacked the full context of the situation and did not have the necessary information to fully understand the student's statement. The teacher's reaction was based on incomplete knowledge, but once the Congresswoman walked into the room, the context became clear. The teacher's assumptions were challenged, and the truth was revealed. This teaches us the importance of having a full understanding of a situation before making judgments. Often, we might find ourselves in situations where we don't have all the information, and jumping to conclusions can lead to misunderstandings. Waiting for more context, or asking questions to gain a clearer understanding, can prevent mistakes and lead to a better grasp of the truth. The twist in the story also underlines the importance of humility. The teacher's initial reaction, though natural, was based on her own limited perspective. When faced with the truth, the teacher was forced to accept that her assumptions were wrong. This moment of realization is a reminder that everyone, no matter how experienced or knowledgeable they may be, can make mistakes. Being open to new information and acknowledging when we are wrong is an essential part of learning and growing. The teacher's realization that the student was correct offers a valuable lesson in humility, as it shows that we all have the potential to be surprised and that we should never be too quick to dismiss others' words. The surprise of the Congresswoman's appearance also speaks to the theme of believing others, especially when they share something personal or meaningful. The student had made a statement that at first seemed improbable, but when the truth came to light, it was clear that the student had been telling the truth all along. This teaches us that even in moments when something seems unlikely or hard to believe, it's important to take others' words seriously. People's experiences, whether they involve important roles in society or personal achievements, deserve to be recognized and respected, even if they don't immediately match our expectations. This twist in the story also provides an important lesson in trust. The teacher at first didn't trust the student's words and laughed, but when the truth was revealed, it became clear that the student's claim had been genuine. This reinforces the idea that we should trust others and give them the benefit of the doubt, especially when they share something meaningful to them. Trusting others can help build stronger relationships and prevent misunderstandings, allowing for deeper connections and a better understanding of each other. The surprise of the Congresswoman's entrance reminds us that trust and open-mindedness are key to building stronger, more understanding relationships in both personal and professional contexts. The student's claim about her mother working in Congress was met with laughter by the teacher, but the event didn't stop there. The teacher's response was an automatic reaction based on the assumption that the student could not possibly be telling the truth. After all, it seemed highly improbable that a young child's mother would hold such an important and powerful position. The laughter came from a place of doubt, but as the story progressed, it became clear that the teacher's reaction had been wrong. The Congresswoman entered the room, and in that instant, the truth was revealed. This moment highlights a crucial point about how often people dismiss the words of others too quickly, especially when those words challenge their understanding of the world. The student, with all her confidence, had stated a fact that, at first, seemed unbelievable to the teacher. However, the sudden appearance of the Congresswoman transformed the situation, showing that people's words, no matter how unlikely they seem, can hold truth. In life, it is common for people to make snap judgments based on their own experiences or biases. The teacher, likely influenced by the idea that a child wouldn't know such an important detail about their parent, had dismissed the student's words too quickly. This is a natural response when something is outside of the norm or challenges what we believe to be true. When someone shares a story that is unexpected or difficult to believe, it's easy to assume that they must be exaggerating, mistaken, or making something up. This reaction is often driven by the lack of context or understanding of the person's life and experiences. In this case, the teacher didn't have the full picture and made an assumption that the student's statement couldn't possibly be accurate. However, the truth has a way of revealing itself, often at the most unexpected times. When the Congresswoman walked into the room, it was clear that the student had been telling the truth all along. This moment serves as a reminder that people's experiences are real, even if they seem difficult to believe at first. What might seem far-fetched to one person could very well be a simple reality for another. The student had no reason to lie. She was simply sharing something personal about her life, and the teacher's laughter only came from not understanding the full context. When the truth came to light, it was a powerful reminder of how easy it is to dismiss others based on assumptions, and how important it is to listen with an open mind. The situation also highlights how adults, especially those in positions of authority, like teachers, can sometimes underestimate the knowledge and experiences of young people. The teacher, possibly without realizing it, assumed that the student couldn't possibly know someone in such a high-profile role. This assumption reflects a broader tendency among adults to not fully recognize the depth of understanding that children can possess. Children are often dismissed as being too young to know certain things or to understand complex concepts, but in reality, they can have valuable insights into their own lives and the world around them. In this case, the student was well aware of her mother's important role in government, and the teacher's initial reaction failed to acknowledge that reality. The teacher's reaction, while a natural response to something unexpected, also shows the danger of making judgments without fully understanding the situation. When the student shared her experience, the teacher laughed, dismissing it as something that couldn't be true. But this moment serves as a reminder that, when we hear something that seems strange or out of the ordinary, it is important not to jump to conclusions. We don't always have the full picture, and without that complete understanding, it is easy to misinterpret or dismiss something that is actually true. In this case, the laughter was based on the teacher's limited perspective and assumptions, but the reality was different from what the teacher had anticipated. This event also speaks to the importance of being open to learning from others regardless of their age or background. The teacher's laughter could have easily shut down any further discussion, but when the Congresswoman walked in, the situation changed. It was a moment of realization that there was so much more to the story than the teacher had first thought. The teacher's assumption was proven wrong, and in that moment the teacher had the opportunity to learn something new. This teaches us that being open-minded and willing to learn from others can lead to surprising revelations. When we approach situations with curiosity and without judgment, we open ourselves to new experiences and perspectives. The lesson here is not just about not dismissing others too quickly, but also about the importance of listening carefully. People often have valuable things to share, and when we take the time to listen and understand, we can learn more than we initially thought possible. The teacher's laughter was a quick reaction to something unexpected, but it could have easily prevented a deeper understanding of the student's life and experiences. When we approach others' words with skepticism or doubt, we close ourselves off from the opportunity to learn. In this case, the teacher could have asked more questions or shown curiosity about the student's claim, which would have opened the door for a more meaningful conversation. This moment in the classroom also speaks to the role of authority figures in shaping how young people view themselves and their ability to share their experiences. The teacher, by laughing at the student's statement, may have unintentionally communicated that her words were not valid or worth taking seriously. This can have an impact on a young person's confidence and willingness to share their thoughts in the future. When adults dismiss children's words, even if unintentionally, it can send a message that their perspectives are not valued. This story shows how important it is for authority figures to respond with respect and openness, especially when children are sharing personal or meaningful information. The unexpected entrance of the Congresswoman also reveals how we often overlook the importance of context. The teacher's reaction was based on an incomplete understanding of the situation. The teacher did not know the full story of the student's life, and therefore assumed that the student could not possibly be telling the truth. But once the Congresswoman arrived, the context became clear, and the teacher realized that her assumptions had been wrong. This teaches us the importance of gathering all the information before making judgments. When we don't have the full context, it is easy to make mistakes or misunderstand others. Waiting for more information and keeping an open mind can help us avoid these kinds of errors. Ultimately, this story serves as a powerful reminder of the need to be careful with our assumptions and to be open to hearing the truth, even when it comes in an unexpected form. It shows the importance of listening to others, especially when they share something meaningful or personal to them. Whether we are speaking to children or adults, it is essential to approach others' words with respect and a willingness to learn. By doing so, we can avoid the pitfalls of judgment and open ourselves to new perspectives and valuable insights. The truth, after all, has a way of revealing itself, and when it does, it often brings with it important lessons for everyone involved.